everyone to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the brand new horror film from the good folks over at Universal Pictures and Blumhouse, Wolfman. And this film is directed and co-written by Lee Warnell, who has given us some really good films as a director. The Invisible Man from about 5 years ago, which is another Universal monster that he did and reimagined it. Upgrade was a very, very good film. I think underrated, to say the least. And he co-wrote Insidious and the very first Saw film, as well as co-starred in that movie as well. Well, he's mainly behind the director's chair now, or sits in the director's chair. And he directed this latest reimagining of a Universal monster film. And this film stars Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner, Matilda Furt, and it follows a man seeking to protect his wife and daughter from a werewolf, only to become infected and slowly transform into the creature. I was highly anticipating this film coming into this new year that we are currently in, for a number of reasons. Number one, Lee Warnell, he has yet to let me down. So I was super excited to see what his take of the Wolfman would be, after seeing The Invisible Man. The Invisible Man was just bananas crazy good. Had no business being that good, yet it was. It was so good. And all his other films always keep you on the edge of your seat, keep you scared, keep you terrified, and all that good stuff. And I was excited to see what he would do with this material. The second reason I was excited for this was, out of all the Universal monsters, or just monsters in general, I absolutely love werewolves. It's a close race between werewolves and vampires for me, but it's something about werewolves. If I could pick, and this is a weird thing to say, but if I could choose to be anyone, it would probably be a werewolf. It's something about a werewolf that intrigues me. I would love to be a werewolf. Vampire, not so much. Maybe it's the sucking of the blood thing, even though werewolves, tear off flesh and eat you alive. But that's neither here nor there. But I just would prefer to be a werewolf. That's besides the point. Anyways, I love werewolf movies. I actually enjoyed that werewolf film that came out about a month or so ago, Werewolves, with Frank Grillo. It was what it was. It was a campy little werewolf film, and it leaned heavily into it. It didn't apologize. I actually enjoyed it. And so I enjoy werewolf movies. And so that was my second reason. The other reason was Julia Garner, who I am a gigantic Julia Garner fan. Ever since Ozark, I will watch anything she's in, good or bad, and I enjoy her in everything she's in. And can't wait to see her in Fantastic Four. In case a lot of people don't know, she's in that film. She's not playing one of the Fantastic Four. She's actually playing Silver Surfer in that movie. So I'm excited to see what her take of that character will be. But I was really excited to see her in this film. I was not disappointed. This set the bar for 2025 to me. This is the bar here. The bar will move gradually up or down, depending on how the rest of this year goes. But as it stands right now, you have to match Wolfman. This was an excellent film in my eyes. Was it a perfect film? No, it wasn't perfect. There were some character decisions that were kind of questionable in this movie, but it's a horror film. Show me a horror film where a character doesn't do something stupid that you sit there and like, why did you do that? They all horror films have that, and is no exception here. But besides that, this was amazing. This was an amazing film. This movie is 90 minutes long, and it was a small contained story that just centered on this family. These are the only three characters in the film. Well, there's a fourth, but watch the movie, you'll know what the fourth one is. But it's just contained in this one house for the majority of the film. And you know what can keep you interested in something like that? Well, they found the way. They found the way. And I love short, little, small, contained films like this. I love it. Trust me, epic, wide scale films has its place. You know, Lawrence of Arabia has its place. Ben Hur, the Ten Commandments, all those big epic films from back then, they have their place. But sometimes you need something small, a small story, yet with large stakes. And this is it. This is it right here. It gives you everything you need and wanted, and didn't know that you wanted, all within these 90 minutes. Everything was set up. The characters were flushed out. Well written, flushed out characters here. From Christopher Abbott, who I don't know much about Christopher Abbott. The only thing I've seen Christopher Abbott in, unfortunately, was Craven the Hunter about a month ago. He was in that movie, and no fault of his, but it was a pointless character. I didn't like the character. I didn't like the movie, so I can't fault him for that. But I haven't seen him in nothing else. Even though he looks familiar, I've probably seen him pop up in things, but this is the first time I've seen him the star of a movie. What a good job. For him to act, his acting was amazing here, even after he becomes the Wolfman, and it's not a spoiler, it's in the trailers. And for him to act and emote through these, from the other side of these prosthetics, it was great. It was beautiful to watch. Julia Garner, I would say she's the weakest, but not weak. She's not a weak character, but she's the weaker of the three. I liked her character. When I mentioned earlier about decisions that were made throughout the film, she made some stupid decisions. It didn't necessarily burn her in the end, but it made you question, like, what are you doing right now? There was a moment in this film, no spoilers, where something is happening to her husband. Her husband is going through this transformation, and he's wigging out. Obviously he's not in his right mind, and she decides to go off and try to do something else, to try to get him out of there, and leaves her daughter with this man that is not well. And I'm like, why? Where's your daughter? Why are you leaving your daughter? I know that's her dad, but he's not right now. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just a dumb decision that was made there. And she made another one towards the end of the film that I was like, what are you doing? But it didn't bite her in the end, but no pun intended. But the standout here, the star here, was Matilda Furt, who plays the daughter, the young daughter here. Man, what a great job by her. She had to, I guess you could say she was the audience here. She was us in this movie. And the relationship between her and Christopher Abbott, the father-daughter relationship that they had, it was genuine. It was pure. It was real. I actually, for a minute, I was like, is this his real daughter in real life? Because they have that connection. I know, because I have two daughters, and I know the connection between the father and the daughter when I see one, and it was there. It was great. And once he's going through this transformation and everything, it was heartbreaking to see too. And so I loved her performance. She really acted her behind off. I mean, she was the standout between these two other adult actors in this film. She stood out the most. The werewolf aspect of it all, or is this really a werewolf? how do you define a werewolf? Because this isn't your granddaddy's werewolf. This isn't your dad's werewolf. With the hair and the kind of hind legs and all this here. This is truly Wolf Man. This is Wolf Man. It is a man that's, that just has wolf attributes. And that's what I love about Lee Warnell. He found the way to make this kind of a realistic type thing. Something that you can believe this is happening. It isn't a fantasy. There really was no fantasy element to this. He treated it more like a virus or a disease that was passed on to him. And that's another aspect that I'm going to jump in a second. But as far as the werewolf part of it all, it is awesome. I've never seen a transformation take place like this. And I don't mean like American Werewolf in London type transformation, which still to this day holds up as one of the greatest transformations on screen. But I'm talking for these 90 minutes, because that's how long it takes. The whole movie is him transforming into this thing, going through different stages. But it's not it's not like you've seen before, but it's nothing that's gonna wow you. It's not like it's state of the art visual effects and all this other stuff. It was basically all practical, maybe a few digital shots, but it was mostly practical. And the transformation was just done in a very unique way. And I'm not really talking about the physical aspect of it all. The exciting part about this was the visual and the sound. The senses of our lead character, Christopher Abbott's character, being turned up to 11. With his hearing and his ability to smell and the speech and all this other stuff, all that, the way it was done was so unique, so simple. It was so simple. I found myself, while the film was going, I'm like, have I ever seen this before? Because it seems so simple. Like, I know this has been done before. This had to been done before, but I've never seen it done in this way. So intelligently. I mean, kudos. My hat goes off to Lee Winnell in the job that he did depicting the stages of transformation for this individual. Going back to what the symbolism of it all, and this movie is based. Let me say it like this: it's not what you think. This is not your typical horror film. This isn't your werewolf running through the house chasing this woman and child up the stairs, in the closet, in the bathroom, and all this other stuff, and they jumping off the roof trying to escape this. It's not that. If you go in thinking that, you're going to be disappointed. That's not this film. This film was a film about generational trauma and how that is passed on from generation to generation, and how it was used. The device used in this film is this wolf virus, I guess you could say. And it's done in a unique and intelligent way. It's on the nose. It's nothing hidden. It's not no deep thought type deal where you're caught off guard like, oh my God, that is so intelligent. You're not gonna stay at a Holiday Inn Express because you saw this, but it's like very unique and really makes you look at things differently, especially if you're a father. And I guess that's why this film affected me so much. And I didn't have these issues. Let me start off by saying that I didn't have a abusive father and all this here. My dad was awesome. So he passed it on. Hopefully I'm passing that on too. But uh I'm talking in the aspect of fathers and daughters, and the relationship that our lead character and his daughter have, and how close of a bond they had, even when he was changing into this wolf creature. And uh I guess the only humanity he had left was the love he had for his daughter, a little bit for his wife. Not to exclude his wife, because he did have love for his wife, but it was just it was really the daughter that really anchored him throughout this film. And it's something to think about. The whole premise of this, or the mission statement of this film, is what, as a father, you are the protector. You're the first and last line of defense when it comes to your family. But what happens when you become the enemy, and you're supposed to protect? So what do you do? And that is the basis of this film. And this was done well. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I mentioned a little while ago about the sound. The sound design deserves a round of applause. This is a very creepy movie as far as the sound. And there was a scene in this film when Christopher Abbott's character is hearing something, and it sounds like they had raccoons or something in the attic, but it was heightened up. And the way that when he makes the discovery, it's like where that sound is coming from, it's like, wow. You know what I'm saying? It was the sound throughout the film was great. The set design was great. The creature design was great. The cinematography was beautiful. This is the same cinematographer that Lee Winnell uses in all of his films. And so it just worked perfectly. Like I said, I only had like 2 or 3 nitpicks. It was a couple of character decisions that were made. The logic, the little leap in logic, uh, with the infected that took place in the beginning of the film, or when we get to this point of the film when our character gets infected, it's kind of like I don't recall it going that way, but it's you just have to roll with it at that point. But other than that, I really had no flaws, no problems with this movie. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. It's a good movie when you get mad when the credits start rolling. You're like, man, that's it. I want more. And I really did want more. Wolfman, which is currently in theaters, gets a letter grade of an A minus. Yeah, it is so far the best movie of 2025. And I know it's only been 3 weeks, so that's an easy statement to make. But this is the a bar that is set for the remainder of the year. Let's see what will surpass it. I would love to know, what did you think of Wolfman? Did you enjoy it? Are you looking forward to it? Or were you expecting, if you saw it, were you expecting a different type of Wolfman, or the same Wolfman that we have grown accustomed to in the past? I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Wolfman. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.